Imagine living in a world where film studios lack the creativity required to form original concepts and ideas. In a world where these same studios pillage other mediums of entertainment to find ideas for their own, often resulting in scuffed reimaginings or unrelated themes, ideas, and characters all being reskinned to look like the original thing. Now open your eyes. You're already there. Fallout at its best is a post-apocalyptic, retro-futuristic, sci-fi western role-playing game with action elements. What does that mean? Well, it means it looked like this, and this, and it felt like this, and this. With the TV show being set in this universe, it really begs the question, what is it gonna be about? Well, that question was kind of answered in an interview with Todd Howard where he stated, "It's not retelling a game story. It's an area of the map, and let's tell a story here that fits in the world we built and doesn't break any of the rules. It can reference things in the games, but it isn't a retelling of the games. It exists in the same world, but it's its own unique thing, so it adds to it." I absolutely love Fallout. Let me make that clear. Easily in my top 5 favorite game series of all time, and I do not want this show to be bad in any way whatsoever. But boy, do I have a funny feeling that this thing is gonna flop harder than a granny with polio trying to hop out her wheelchair. Now, if you notice, Todd doesn't answer the question here. He simply gives a vague response that references the news that came out that it's gonna take place in Los Angeles, a setting in the first 2 games. Now, when I read that this is where the show would take place, I instantly started fuming at the missed opportunity. The east and west coasts of the United States are already heavily explored settings in the Fallout world, and we spend every single game made by the lovely folks at Interplay and Obsidian on the west coast. So I ask, why revisit it? The one thing that the latest entry in the franchise did right was giving us a fresh, new setting with new creatures we haven't seen before. Even Fallout 4 and 3, which gave us a brand new setting, failed to give us any new creatures or mutations in a radiation-soaked wasteland. They simply transferred all of the creatures from the originals and made them 3D. Now, considering that Fallout 3 and 4 are both Todd's babies, I find it funny when he promises new, unique things that add to the world of Fallout. Because if it adds to the world, that implies that it wasn't there before, but whatever. Plus, Todd had nothing to do with the creation of any Fallout games that took place on the West Coast, so just know that when he says the world we built, he means they. And when he talks about new unique things that add to the existing world of Fallout, that he is talking out his ass. If you're a Fallout fan, I want you to take just 1 second to imagine a TV show about Fallout taking place somewhere that we have never seen before. Wouldn't that be fucking sick? A true creative opportunity too, because then the showrunners get to think up new and interesting mutations for flora and fauna that would be native to that setting. The only issue I can see with the new setting is possible contradictions to any lore the game have already cooked up for that region. So I get that that idea isn't super appealing to studios or writers. It would be a lot of work just thinking of stuff to fill that setting. I get it. But what about a Fallout show that shows us an already established event that we only get to hear about in the games and never actually experience ourselves? The first idea that comes to mind is Caesar's rise to power. The Legion are just an interesting faction in Fallout New Vegas because they offer the ultimate antithesis to the New California Republic, which is essentially the United States government 2.0, a true democracy with all its strengths and weaknesses. It's awesome how New Vegas portrays these two factions because they are both ultimately doomed to fail, and I could just ramble on and on about New Vegas itself, but just imagine a serious, grounded series about how this man came to rule the most powerful tribe in the Wastes. We already know how his story comes to end in New Vegas. Whether you choose to kill him or not, man's got cancer, and when he dies, his Legion dies with him. But it would be awesome to see how the Legion itself began. Caesar's character is just so unbelievably interesting.
If you were born into a world that looked like this one, with the bones of your dead countrymen still lying in their beds, you might have grown up just a little obsessed with history. The terrible story that led to all this. As a person who grew up in a harsh and radioactive wasteland, you would probably spend most of your waking hours wrestling with questions like, how did this happen? Will this catastrophe happen again? And if so, can it be avoided? It was in trying to answer these questions that led to the birth of perhaps one of the cruelest tribes to ever be featured in a Fallout game.
Thank you, Shoddy Cass. Now, if you know this character and you know these games, then you just know that there are so many interesting stories to tell in this world. And I'm just here to say that I pray that this show doesn't let that go to waste. In a world where trillionaire CEOs preach about action against carbon emissions from their private jets, and people get killed for protesting, all while our world leaders threaten each other with nuclear death, Fallout's story has just never been more relevant, and it would simply be a damn shame to see it go to waste. Regardless, though, of missed opportunities and alleged wasted potential, I can't escape the feeling that this show is being created just to feed us Fallout fans a bunch of member berries. And it doesn't help that Fallout's adopted daddy's only words on the matter could easily be interpreted as, so basically it had nothing to do with Fallout. Until we added references. It was completely unrelated, post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, desert, Mad Max wannabe action script until we tweaked it to slide real nicely into the world of Fallout, and now it's sure to be popular and make money. The fans will love it. I have a feeling that it will have plenty of nostalgia bait for anyone who has fond memories of those first two games and beyond. I have a feeling it will focus heavily on established factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, NCR, and Enclave, and I have an even sadder feeling that it will have even less to say about all of the things it features than those first two games did. Now, obviously, I'm not here to stop you from being excited. If you're stoked for the show, then good. I am too, honestly. It's just hard to have high hopes when shows like Halo are coming out, which is another one of my favorite game series. Obviously, there's also The Last of Us, but that show had a pre-existing story to follow, so all they really had to do was execute. And Edge Runners was art, but that show is animated. It was fated for success. Just fucking look at it. I really want this show to be something special, something Fallout fans will talk about for years to come, but I simply cannot escape the feeling that this will be yet another shameless Hollywood cash grab. But what do you think? Is the Fallout show fated to be discussed as one of the best video game adaptations of all time? Or is it doomed to repeat history? Let me know in the comments below. Now I'm gonna quick fire a random few thoughts about the Fallout show before abruptly ending the video. I think it would be funny if they had a character that was a vault dweller, but they did nothing with the idea of the vaults. Like how they're actually secret experiments with varying intensity and effects disguised as safe havens from the apocalypse unfolding above, which is an awesome idea. Now imagine the vault dweller being there, but no one actually cares. It's not like they're an uncommon occurrence, so I'm not expecting them to get gawked at, but if anyone gets close to the vault dweller character, it would be more than normal to ask some questions about the vault they assumedly grew up in. Right? Imagine them treating Deathclaws like a bombastic boss fight they have to all take down at once, like the Avengers fighting Thanos. What if they included the NCR but like no commentary on democracy or capitalism? What if they portrayed the NCR as the best possible thing for the wasteland, like its only hope? I have 5 words. Brotherhood of Steel without racism. Imagine they include the power-hungry, technologically greedy side, but not the blatant racism and intolerance of other humanoids. Oh, and speaking of which, I want a ghoul sexy.